everyone, and hello, and welcome everyone to the Unsolicited Wrestling Podcast, or stream, depending if you catch it live. This is the show where I, Cape Joel, stop talking about comic books for a little bit and start talking about wrestling. And I haven't done the show in a little bit because, man, it's been a little hard to get motivated to talk about wrestling. I know when I did the show before, I talked about how much I absolutely love Double or Nothing and how much I really haven't been enjoying the WWE product recently, but there have been some big news, some big breakthroughs, some big developments that I think will lead to some good conversation and to a good show. And as always, too, in case you haven't seen the show before, haven't had a chance to catch it live, we have a little segment here I love to do called, Hey, what shirt is Joel wearing this week? And oh, thank you, Connor Hawk, for the cheer. Always appreciate it. Any cheers, donations, coffees, PayPal tips, anything that I get in the next couple months will be going to buy me a Nintendo Switch because I really want to play the Marvel Ultimate Alliance when that comes out. But yes, as I was saying, what wrestling shirt is Joel wearing this week? Well, as you can see, I'm wearing my Hardcore 5150. This was the Team 3D, formerly known as the Dudley Boys shirt they had in TNA. Say what you want about TNA's quality, but man, when they were in hard financial straits, boy, was it easy to get some good shirts. Hey Joel, big fan on Twitter, rare chance to catch you live. Aw, that's nice. I'm glad you could be here. Again, I don't normally do things this early, but I actually was a very productive adult today. I got up early, went around, did my chores, did my comic work. I have Thor rendering right now. That's going to come out later tonight on the channel at 8, so I figured, hey, you know what? Let's do some streaming is what we should do. And perhaps the biggest piece of news in the wrestling world, the one that has everyone talking for very good reason, is that it was announced this week that Paul Heyman as well as Eric Bischoff are getting brand new high-ranking producer gigs at WWE. Heyman, it seems, will be working over on Raw, and Bischoff will be working on SmackDown, which is funny because this is kind of a reversal of fortunes from the early 2000s when it was actually Bischoff who had like the authority role on Raw, and Heyman actually was doing a lot of the booking for SmackDown. And, you know, there's a lot of reasons as to why this could potentially be. I was very quick, and everyone else on the internet was very quick to chop this up to the AEW effect. And that is, you know, hey, maybe Vince McMahon is feeling the pinch just a little bit. Maybe he's a little worried about this wrestling youth movement, and in his time of need figured, hey, let me turn to two guys who were my biggest foes once upon a time, the former heads of ECW and WCW, two companies that the WWE destroyed and cannibalized at one point in history. And this is some very untread waters here. Again, from all the reports I'm reading is that, like, no, Vince McMahon's not going anywhere. He's not giving up control. Everything still has to be run through him, but this is more of like at their most, this might be like a Triple H NXT situation where these guys might be given a little bit more control and might be given at least the chance to differentiate the two shows from one another, which I think we can all agree, boy, have we desperately needed them to differentiate the shows, because, I mean, friggin', you know, even with the brand split that they've been doing, the shows look exactly the same. Doesn't matter if you're watching Raw, if you're watching SmackDown, they feel exactly the same. And here's hoping they can bring a little bit more personality. Now, obviously, Heyman hasn't really left the wrestling industry that much. He's, of course, the advocate for Brock Lesnar. He apparently had a big hand in booking a lot of the Ronda Rousey stuff that we saw last year. So he's definitely had his hands in creative, and has had them in creative for a little bit. Bischoff seems like a weirder choice, because Bischoff really hasn't done much wrestling-related stuff. Oh, sure, he's done podcasts and speaking engagements and TED Talks and everything, but he hasn't actually booked anything, as far as I can tell, in a very long time. He's mostly been working on reality shows. Now, the word is that the reason he's been given SmackDown, the show that is, you know, often carried the stigma of being the B show, is that they want him to kind of be the corporate in-between for Vince and the WWE and Fox, because SmackDown is starting in Fox in October, and actually we're going to talk about that a lot as we head on there. Brand split, now I think you mean the Fantastic put together and will enforce wildcard rule. Yeah, exactly. It's funny that, you know, they had the brand split mean nothing when they introduced the wildcard rule. Now they're doing this, which is like, okay, so now we're putting two creative guys in control of two very different shows. Another thing they've said is that this change and these new producership jobs, you won't see the effects right away. They're going to slowly ease into this, and I get the distinct feeling we'll be easing into this around October. Because what? Oh, well, thank you, Dark Bats. I appreciate the follow, always. Hey, round of applause. Why do I think this is going to take effect in October? Because something very important happens in the early weeks of October, and that is All Elite Wrestling is going to be getting its TV show on TNT. Maybe it's going to be Tuesday Night Dynamite, maybe it's going to be Wednesday Night Dynamite, no one is sure, but it feels that it's probably going to air somewhere between the 2nd and the 5th. And around that same time, too, SmackDown will be airing its first episode on Fox. And the big rumor is that this is going to be like a huge star-studded affair, is what it's going to be. They're going to have all sorts of people involved in it. They're really going to try and burst the ratings on this one and really try and make it a pop culture affair. Yeah, that is a popular theory, too, that maybe Vince is putting these two guys in charge because he wants to step away and work on the XFL. But we've heard that before, and I think, one of the original reasons the first XFL failed is because Vince refused to let go of his baby, of his primary moneymaker, which was the wrestling. And again, Paul Heyman, 2001, worked for the company before. Eric Bischoff worked for the company before, and they all left under not so great, not so happy circumstances. So the question is, how much is he paying them, and how do we know this isn't just going to happen all over again? I also keep hearing Wednesday, Hippie Exterminator. I think it would be very smart to have it on Wednesday, because I think for a brand new show, as much as, people are really digging it, as much momentum it has, probably shouldn't go head-to-head with the Fox SmackDown right out of the gate. If they move it to Wednesday, all they'll really have to compete with is NXT, but NXT is taped, not live, and also it's not on network television yet. The rumor is Triple H is trying to get it on network television somewhere down the line, but yeah, if all they had to do was compete with NXT, that would be fine. Oh, SmackDown will be Fridays now. Okay, interesting. Okay, why did I keep thinking it was... Okay, see, I thought they were going to keep the same night, but okay, so it's moving to a new network, Fox, and it's getting the primetime Friday night slot. Okay, that's risky, too, because for a lot of programming, they always call that the death slot Friday night. That has killed on Fox, Firefly, and all your favorite science fiction shows. Because the rumor is that still that might be subject to change, because AEW has apparently trademarked both Tuesday Night Dynamite and Wednesday Night Dynamite, so it could actually be on either night of the week. So who knows? Could be interesting. It's just funny, and this isn't the first time, and this isn't the last time we're going to talk about these two guys playing chess with release dates and everything. That's gonna keep coming up actually as we talk about more stuff. But yeah, Heyman and Bischoff on a WWE television with more creative control and more power. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. The thing that worries me, and again, I gotta compare it back to AEW again. AEW feels like a real honest-to-God youth movement. It's people our age. It's people who grew up with wrestling and who want to take it into new, interesting, scary directions. Heyman is great. Bischoff had a lot of good ideas. Arguably his best idea, the NWO, was ripped off from Japanese wrestling, and he just took the credit for it. But the thing is that at the end of the day, they're still old dudes, and they're still kind of set in their ways. And I worry that that's the problem, is that old Vince McMahon went to his two old rivals in a time of desperation, and they're just going to be making, old-timey sort of content. I don't know. Could be great. And as everyone's saying, at least it's not Russo. Yeah, a Russo. No one likes a Russo in wrestling. Ones we like do films. Exactly. There's two good Russos, but they're brothers, and yeah, they don't do wrestling. Oh, but you just know with this news, too, Russo was probably set up by his phone. They're going to call me any minute now. They're going to call me any minute. Also, too, again, to bring it back to Bischoff, Bischoff has a long history of working with Russo and Hogan. And again, let us not forget what he did in the latter days of TNA before really not working in wrestling anymore. Here's hoping that doesn't happen again. Also, too, you have to wonder with these two at the helm of these shows now, are we going to start to see, some banter? Are we going to see some shots fired at AEW? Is this going to be like the restart of the Monday Night Wars that everyone has wanted? Is this going to be, a second wrestling war? If so, I think that would only behoove all the companies involved, because people love competition. People love being able to say my thing is better than your thing. But it's going to be an interesting time. It's going to be an interesting time for wrestling come October. We're going to have a lot to talk about on this, but we'll have to wait and see, because at the end of the day, it's all still got to go through Vince McMahon, and I think he's his own worst enemy for that company right now. But that's not the only news of stuff that WWE is doing that might very well affect what AEW is doing, and vice versa. And now bringing Dungeons and Dragons to Netflix. That's right, indeed they are. Competition is better for everyone. What's that famous saying there, Ninjak? High tides raise all ships is the thing, and I think we could definitely use some of that right now. But on to our next story. And again, this also involves AEW and WWE trying to checkmate each other. Obviously, tomorrow is going to be AEW's Fyter Fest, which I will be talking about my predictions of that at the end of this video. But their next show after that, before All Out in Chicago, their big return to where they did the original All In, they're going to be having an event called Fight for the Fallen. And Fight for the Fallen is an event all supposed to raise money for the victims of gun violence and, you know, for gun prevention programs and stuff like that. Really good cause, really progressive sort of cause that you would not see the WWE doing, especially in a day and age when they're taking the Saudi blood money for the Saudi super shows and everything. They had that date all set up. That date was good to go. And then out of the blue, WWE is like, you know what else is going to be on that same date? The Evolve 10th anniversary show. Yeah, you know Evolve, that company that is kind of a feeder system for WWE, but not nearly as prolific as NXT. But a lot of the same people are in both. In fact, the Street Profits had the Evolve tag titles and then eventually went on to win the NXT tag titles together. But yeah, we're having a big 10th anniversary show, and look at this, everybody. We got we got all sorts of NXT talent showing up in here. We got Adam Cole taking on Akira Tozawa. We got Matt Riddle here against Drew Gulak. It's a big stack card for the 10th anniversary for no reason at all. For no reason at all. Why would we be trying to stack this card on the same day our competition is having another event? And Kenny Omega, as the chat is already getting ahead of me on this one, took to Twitter, and he was very upset about this. His basic, line of thinking was, hey, it's one thing to take the Saudi blood money, it's another thing to actually try and torpedo what is essentially a charity show. And, sends a really bad, really petty message. Just, ooh. Also, too, it's Evolve. Like, yeah, lots of good wrestling goes on in Evolve and everything, but at the same time, too, it's like, I don't know, where does Evolve rank on this one? Definitely NXT is above Evolve. I would argue AEW is above Evolve too, but still, just sends a really, really not great message that, that they would put this show on this day. This also comes after we found out that the next NXT UK takeover is going to be on the same day as All Out. Different times though, because obviously in Britain, but still feels very much like they're trying to make some moves on this one. I think this officially puts an end to what everyone has been saying, in the wrestling press, and that is, WWE, they don't even know AEW exists. They couldn't possibly care what that federation is doing. I think it's pretty clear they do care. Yeah, Evolve is the middle company. I would say that too. In fact, I often forget that they have events. I only ever hear about their events usually when it's WrestleMania season. I think NXT UK is more to combat the New Japan Royal Quest show in the Oak. Yes, that's right. Royal Quest is also that day. So that's going to be a stacked day of shows in wrestling where everyone is putting their stuff on at the same time. But doesn't send a great message. Hello, Ram. Welcome. We're just talking about some wrestling. But that's an interesting thing that all these shows are going to be around the same time and doesn't send a good message. I know I'll be watching AEW. I think I'm AEW for life on this one. The Evolve card has some good matches on it, but none where I'm like, ooh, I gotta see that. Also, I mean, come on, look at their main event here. Adam Cole Bebe versus Akira Tozawa. Do you really think Akira Tozawa is going to be winning the NXT title? Nothing against Akira Tozawa. Good guy, 205 Live, underrated, but come on. That ain't happening. We know that's not happening. But yeah, that's that story, everyone. And from there, our next piece of news actually involves TNA. So we're actually going to be going over a little bit and talking about another company. Never say we don't cover the whole spectrum on this one. But yes, Ortiz and Santana, the two current members of LAX, the most recent incarnation of the famous TNA stable, their contracts come up this September, and apparently there's a lot of buzz and a lot of scuttlebutt that both WWE and AEW desperately want to sign these guys for their program, and it makes a lot of sense that these guys might be looking for new, greener pastures, because ever since the new rebooted Don Callis era of TNA, these guys have held the belt longer than anyone else, more than anyone else, and it feels like, even though they've had great matches with all the different tag teams there's no more worlds to conquer for these guys. They might be looking to go and try something different, and if they are a tag team, and if they really do care about their place on the card and having really good matches, I think it would only make sense for them to go to AEW, seeing as the Young Bucks are such a major fixture there. They have wrestled each other on the Chris Jericho cruise, in fact. They had wrestled each other to great effect, and I think that's an instant money feud right there. They could make the same magic they worked again with the Lucha Brothers again. They had a great program with the Lucha Brothers in TNA, which I think a lot of people have missed because a lot of people aren't watching TNA. But yeah, I think they would be a great addition to the AEW roster. Oh, sure, they could go to NXT and maybe possibly have a good run and then eventually get called up to the main roster where, hey, I don't know if you've noticed, both SmackDown and Raw really don't give a shit about the tag scene right now. Both tag scenes on both shows are super dead, super uninteresting. I know Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan are the SmackDown champions. I have no idea who the Raw champions are right now. Is it the Revival? It might be the Revival. I don't know. See, that's how little I care about it. They don't get the time they need to develop storylines. They're always an afterthought. It's such a dead division right now, and I mean, really, again, two young happening dudes here. I think it would only make sense for them to, move on over to the biggest youth movement. Yeah, exactly, as Hippie Exterminator says, they'd be slumming it on Main Event within a month. Okay, it is the Revival then, and the Revival also, hey, the Revival might be leaving soon either. Again, we keep hearing contrasting rumors of like, oh, they were given more money, oh, they were given a new title run, oh, they're unhappy, oh, they might be leaving. Because, again, I think anyone who actually likes tag team wrestling and wants to be featured in good angles, WWE is not the company for you right now, unfortunately. Unless you're in NXT, exactly, where the tag scene is great. Street Profits finally getting the rewards they deserve and everything. Birch and Lorcan putting on some good stuff and everything, but yeah, that's just kind of where it's at the moment. But yeah, there's a little taste of TNA, everyone. Don't say that I just give preferential treatment to one company over the other. I like to examine a little bit of everything that's been going on there in the wrestling landscape, especially TNA now, because TNA now is a Canadian company. Like, if I was to go to a wrestling school or if I wanted to be an announcer, I would probably try and get a job with Don Callis' TNA, because, again, they're local to me. They're just over in Ottawa. But, yeah, so there's your LAX news, and with that, we come to the big main event, the thing that I'm sure everybody has wanted to be talking about, and that is Fyter Fest is tomorrow, completely free via Belcher Report. You can also watch the weigh-in in the pre-show on YouTube. Hopefully it works this time, because I know for Double or Nothing, it didn't work on the Elite AEW channel, but it worked on Belcher Report's channel. It was a whole messed up thing. Here's hoping they fix that moving forward. But, yeah, free show put on in conjunction with CEO, which is a big video gaming tournament thing, which Kenny Omega is very much involved in, and in fact, that is represented in our first couple matches. So let's talk about the pre-show. First up, we got SCU versus Private Party versus The Best Friends. This is going to be, it's a little confusing, but this is going to be the first in what will become a series of tag matches in a tag tournament to eventually crown the first AEW tag team champions as they are. So this is an interesting little setup here. I mean, obviously, if we were going just by momentum, you'd have to say Best Friends, because Best Friends won at Double or Nothing. But again, this is also a company where they say wins and losses are really going to matter, and are they going to use this as an opportunity maybe to promote the Private Party in their first showcase? Because I know they were handpicked by the Young Bucks themselves. They're young, they're hungry performers. I've watched a bunch of their clips on YouTube. They got a good gimmick, they got a good energy and everything, so I have to wonder if they want to, elevate them now and be like, okay, best friends SCU, you guys will have your chances later. You're already seasoned tag teams. So yeah, those are the two I'm definitely thinking are going to get a chance to win this one. What do you think, Chad? What are your thoughts on this one? Also, you have to wonder, too, if keeping up from what we've seen on Double or Nothing, will Evil Uno and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order show up again to make more trouble as they did in the last tag match? This could also be a great chance to introduce a new tag team, too, via some manner of run-in. Would be kind of cool if they did that. But as it stands right now, I'm actually going to go with my heart on this prediction, and I'm going to say Private Party actually pulls out a surprise victory on this one, is what I'm going to say, and it's going to be a nice little coming out party for them to a bigger audience. Then the second pre-show match is we have a hardcore match between Michael Nakazawa and Jabali. Jabali, of course, is the man who runs CEO. He's a big wrestling fan. He's really pushed to bring more wrestling content to CEO every year. He's a friend of Kenny Omega's. And he was actually supposed to be in a match last year, but he got hurt and couldn't perform. And so this is the match they're eventually going to have, is the thing. And it's going to be a hardcore match. I mean, traditionally, I would hope that in a match between a wrestler and a non-wrestler, the wrestler would win. But then again, they're also putting on this match at his show, CEO. So, I don't know. And also, he has been featured Jabali in the Road to Fyter Fest documentary series, so he's actually gotten more tape on him than Michael Nakazawa has. Michael Nakazawa, basically just a joke at this point. Michael Nakazawa, he's the guy who rubs himself with baby oil to slip out of holds in the Battle Royale. I think he can, stand to lose, because he is kind of a comedy act, is the thing. I don't think if he lost to Jabali, it would really hurt him that much. So I'm actually going to, again, go with Jabali on this one and say the non-wrestler beats the wrestler. Also, to call him a non-wrestler isn't really fair, because, again, in that, Road to Fyter Fest documentary, we can see he's actually trained quite extensively, and, he's actually really worked to try and make himself a wrestler. So, there you go. That's my setup for that. Nakazawa wins and sets up a match with Matt Jackson. That would be funny. It wouldn't be a tag match. It would just be a one-off match. Oh, no, you know what happens? Michael Nakazawa and Jabali decide to join forces, and they become a new tag team to take on the Young Bucks. That's good storytelling. I like that one. Now, next up after that one, we have Christopher Daniels versus Sima-san, a kind of rematch from Double or Nothing, where SCU took on the Strong Hearts. SCU ended up winning that match, much to my surprise. I assumed they would really want to put over the OWE guys. Sorry, OVE is Sami Callihan's group. I always make that mistake. I really thought they would want to put over the Oriental Wrestling Exchange guys, is what I would think they would want to do. But that didn't happen. SCU got the win, and now this is coming down to just an almost personal grudge match between Daniels and Sema. I'm going to guess because they say wins and losses are going to matter, and because Sema and the Strong Hearts lost at Double or Nothing, this is them retroactively kind of getting their win back, is a thing, and also to put over Sema as look how cool this guy is, look how great he is, we really respect him and everything. This kind of gets to be his moment. Because, again, Daniels can lose. Daniels has already had such this really extensive, really respectable career. He can lose one and it doesn't matter. Yeah, Sema has to win before the match with Omega, exactly. He's got to have a match to build him up so we can send him on his way to wrestle more people. Where, meanwhile, we've seen Daniels wrestle the Young Bucks a bunch. We've seen him wrestle Cody. We've seen him wrestle all these people. We've seen all these other matches. If he's to lose here, it can at least facilitate new match types, is the thing. So, definitely good call on that. We are of a mind in that one. Now, next up after that, we have the women's match. There might be two women's matches, actually. There was apparently a leak of a match that might happen. Kylie Ray versus Leva Bates, who is also the librarian. That might not happen. They might have had to have cut that one for time. But the match that's definitely going to be on the card is Yuka Sakazaki versus Riho versus Nyla Rose, which is kind of a combination of the Joshi match we saw at Double or Nothing and the other big women's match on here. We've seen Daniels wrestle the Green Arrow himself. Indeed, he has. When is Stephen Amell going to show up in AEW? When is he going to make his big debut? Maybe Amell comes in and wrecks the match for Daniels. That was a really good match, actually. When we talk about celebrities who don't normally wrestle wrestling, he took so many sick bumps he didn't have to take. I respect him for that. After Arrow is done, apparently, he's going to go join the wrestling. Which, you know what, hey, I didn't much care for the Arrow show because I'm a big Green Arrow fan, but I like and respect Amell because he's a wrestling fan and he's got good taste on there. But, Nyla Rose versus the two Joshis here. I think this is going to really try and put Nyla Rose over as a beast and a destroyer. I think the two Japanese girls are going to fight really hard. They're going to try and divide and conquer, but I think in the end, Nyla is just going to destroy them, I think this is to set her up as a big threat, and then maybe if they can get awesome Aja Kong back, then that leads to like a big beast match between these two women, possibly at All Out. I would very much like to see that. I think that would be a nice way to pass the torch. Hello, D&G. We're just talking predictions for Fyter Fest tomorrow. But, that's where I stand on that one. Where how does everyone else feel? I think they need to keep Nyla Rose strong if they want them to, be, their destroyer, their big, strong, butch woman who cannot be tamed and cannot be toppled. I think she's going to beat up the two Japanese girls. Definitely the chosen pick. Yeah, Hippie Exterminator, I are of a mind on this one. That she's got to win this one. In fact, she was my pick to win. Actually, no, Britt was my pick to win, actually, for the other one. But, yeah, I like Nyla, too. Corpsing outside like she did last month. Yeah, it's like, I feel like maybe they weren't sure if they were going to get Awesome Kong, and they gave Awesome Kong all the Nyla spots, is the thing. But, that's Hoss wrestling in general. If you're a man or a woman, you can only do so many things. And there's going to be a great bit when Riho, that's the magical genie girl from Double or Nothing. She's going to try and fly through the air. She's going to try and do some aerial maneuver on Nyla. And Nyla's just going to catch her and friggin' destroy her and break her in two. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's funny, Nyla is probably the biggest hoss they actually have in AEW right now because they don't have, like, a big body dude in the men's division yet. Apparently, Brian Cage was actually supposed to be at Double or Nothing, but TNA stopped him and pulled the plug on that one. So don't be surprised if when Brian Cage's contract is up, if he doesn't show up here, because he's apparently good friends with him as well. Nyla can become the Dream Catcher. Oh, because she has a Native American theme. Does she have a move called the Dream Catcher? Because if so, that actually sounds like a pretty good name for a move, actually, where she catches you out of midair and ends your dreams. I'm excited for that one. I think the women, they're really hungry in all the companies right now, and they put on a really good match at Double or Nothing, so I'm excited to see what they do here. Next up, we got the four-way dance. Adam Hangman Page versus MJF versus Jungle Boy versus Jimmy Havoc. Oh, what a funny setup for this match. Adam Page just wanted to wrestle MJF to get revenge for him disrespecting him during Double or Nothing. But then Jungle Boy got added. Then Jimmy Havoc got added. And it became this whole little thing. Ram saying, what is it up with Shane McMahon calling himself the best in the world? He won a trophy, Ram. He won a trophy in Saudi Arabia. He's the best in the world now. He's the best in the world. Honestly, I think that's just Vince working through Shane, that this is the sort of stuff he wishes he could do, and the sort of shit he used to pull back in the day when he would put titles on himself. But yeah, he's the best in the world. But yes, this four-way match here, this is interesting. Obviously, Adam Page is going to have to go on to take on Jericho to see if he'll become the first ever AEW heavyweight champion. So that match is already set to go. He doesn't really need to win this one, and really he's only in it to hurt MJF, so he could like lay a sick beatdown on MJF but still lose, and he would still end up walking away from that match looking good. Personally, my heart wants Jimmy Havoc to win, just because I'm a big old Jimmy Havoc fan. I like that he's like the hardcore deathmatch guy, done good and made good. And, he's going to do something sick and insane in that match. Maybe he even gets disqualified because he brings in the staple gun or something. Yeah, you also got that right, D&G, but then you got Jungle Boy, who they're clearly super high on and clearly super want to push, and, he could win, and I don't think anyone would feel upset if he did win. I imagine that this is going to be one of those situations where the winner will surprise you. I think Page is going to go right after MJF. He'll be so concentrating on getting MJF that Jungle Boy or Havoc will be able to swoop on in and steal a victory, which will do great things for them in the long run. And I guess it comes down to who needs that win more, because Page doesn't need it because he's already got the big title match, and nothing from this can ruin that title match. MJF is still the biggest heel in this company. He's still the most hateable heel, and it doesn't matter if he loses because he'll still be the biggest heel at the end of it until someone overtakes him, which I don't think will happen anytime soon. Yeah, it's really down to Jungle Boy or Havoc. I think it's their match to lose on this one. I think they definitely need it in some way, shape, or form. But that one's good. That one's probably, that's like my second favorite one that I'm going to be looking forward to. And then we come to our, I guess what you could call it, dual main events, but thankfully they haven't because there's only one main event. Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin. I'll admit I knew very little about Darby Allin, but I actually watched a whole Vice documentary this week talking about, the rise of young superstars in America. Granted, this was like 4 years old at this point, but still, it actually told me a lot about Darby Allin that I didn't know, and man, that dude's hardcore, borderline suicidal. He had a whole match in Evolve where he got himself thrown into a body bag with a bunch of tacks and just slammed. It's crazy. Dude's crazy. Dude's not afraid to go to hardcore levels. Will Cody be willing to go there to meet him, though, is the thing. And also, will Cody keep the stigma of, if he wins this match, being like, well, of course he won. It was his company. He booked himself to win. Do you think this will be Cody giving the rub to a younger talent that really needs it? I think yes. I think Cody is willing, because he got his big moment already with his brother, and they're going to have the big tag thing with him and the Bucks. I wouldn't be shocked if Darby Allin pulls out a win on this one, somehow, some way. Because I think this is going to be a showcase for him, and that this is going to be his chance to, show everyone what he can do. Also, he's got a cool gimmick, too. I like his kind of like Two-Face masky gimmick. I wonder what video game inspired character Cody will come out as this year. Darby Allin is basically a more acrobatic Jimmy Havoc. Indeed, D&G, and they have had great feuds together, and I'm sure they'll have them again here in AEW. One of the toughest to call. They've booked big names so strong so far, so Cody for me. Yeah, I can see Cody winning this too, because again, for better or worse, the Bucks and Cody have only won their matches at Double or Nothing and at All In, so Cody will go over, will also make young talent more over. That's likely as well. My heart says Darby, my brain says Cody, is what it really comes down to. But that should be a good match. I'm excited to see what they do there. And also, hey, will Cody bleed this time? Because as we see, AEW has no problem with bleeding and blood. And how violent are they going to get away with it? They talked to Cody post Double or Nothing, and he even said, hey, we got pretty violent on this show, and we're talking to Tony Khan and the Money Men about maybe getting even more violent, maybe like a special hardcore deathmatch pay-per-view once AEW starts rolling. They seem to be focused on showing who the stars are, which I like because WWE sucks at that. Indeed, you've got a very good point with that. Tell us who the stars are and who we can root for. D&G also had a random question, but do you think Samoa Joe is at risk of becoming the next Bray Wyatt? Ooh. Oh, that does worry me. I love Joe deeply, and they are not doing well with Joe. To think the height of his career was a U.S. title reign that he ended up losing, and then giving it back, and then losing it again. I worry about Joe. I really do. So we got one last match to call here. And then I'll do a little Q&A before it's all said and done. But this is the big one. Jon Moxley versus Joey Janela. And man, the promo work for this one has just been so good. So good. Joey Janela basically saying, Jon Moxley, well, you played a watered-down version of yourself. I was reinventing what it means to be a hardcore, and I won't be happy until I die in that ring. And then Jon Moxley, in retaliation, goes out to the woods and starts digging a grave for him. But yeah, you still have the actual main event, Joel. Well, what, this isn't the main event? What, is there one more match I'm missing? Oh, of course, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus, okay, yeah, that's right, the triple tag match. Yeah, my bad. Oops. This is the main event in my heart, though, because, this is the match that I think everyone has been dream booking forever, because you never thought these two would be in the same company. Because, yeah, Joey Janela has followed a very similar career path to Jon Moxley, and it's an unsanctioned match, which means they can get crazy, and Janela has no problem getting crazy. This is the guy who got thrown off a roof by John Zandig. This is the dude who has, hardcore matches in buses in London. He's gonna jump off something, he's gonna cut himself with something, he's gonna do something nuts. And I'm sure Moxley, too, in the back of his mind, too, wants to prove that he's not a watered-down version of himself anymore, and that, he's not an out-of-touch old man, and he's going to rise to meet Janela at that level. So they're going to do something sick, disgusting. And I am so excited for them to do something sick, disgusting. I hope it passes mustered for what I still think is probably the best modern hardcore match, and that was actually Sami Callihan versus Pentagon in TNA, where they grabbed a bunch of railroad spikes and kept jamming it into each other's heads. It was nuts. But yeah, I think Moxley's probably going to take this one because, again, Moxley is their guy now. He's, the one they're basically building part of their heavyweight division around. And I mean, come on, if New Japan books him so strong that he wins the NWJP title right out of the gate and that he can only work in the States with AEW, I think, they definitely got to let him walk away with the win on this one. Janela will still look good. Janela will probably win the gift fight by doing the sickest crazy thing. And yeah, exactly, Hippie Exterminator. He's got to dig deep to his old CZW days. Here's hoping when AEW gets rolling, we can get another drunken death match where they just keep going and drinking booze. It'll be better than Edge hitting the dude in ECW in the nuts with a barbed wire bat. Definitely. Oh, they're going to do something sick. They're going to bring out some sort of implement. Janela's going to land on his neck, falling off something. It's going to be good. It's like the little guy in the white suit in Simpsons. You can't look away because it's going to be good. And because it's streaming and because it's Belcher Report, they probably don't have to deal with any sort of standards and practices of television, which means they can really push it that far. Do you think the hardcore guys are too high on the card in general? If so, would it hurt AEW's legitimacy? I think they picked the right hardcore guys. They picked guys who just don't do hardcore stuff. Like Havoc is a great personality and great on the mic, and people like him, and he can do other things. Again, Darby Allin, got the boy band good looks, can talk, can do other things. I think for these AEW guys, being hardcore and doing the deathmatch stuff is just a weapon in their arsenal. Is the thing, but that's just me. I think it's a good balance. And here's the thing too, the company's not done yet. They're gonna keep signing people. Like I said, they don't have a big Hoss guy. They don't have a big muscle guy yet. I hope they sign Pero. I like Pero. I think Pero is very good. Calling it now, Meltzer will give Fyter Fest 2 6-star ratings. We'll see about that. I wonder what Meltzer will give this one, because it's like a show, but it's not like an official show. It's like one connected to a gaming convention. I don't know. We'll see about that. Again, we'll see if they have the storytelling. Bring in Punk. Punk keeps saying he's done, but I don't know if I believe Punk is the thing. Because Punk has clearly come back. He's just come back dressed as a ninja and everything. Or EC3. EC3 ain't happy. He ain't happy there, that's for sure. Maybe, I don't know what kind of contract he signed and how long he's in there for, but there's a dude who definitely looks to be getting greener pastures. Ooh, I love Keith Lee. And yeah, Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb is probably going to be ROH champion in a couple months, so there you go. Punk is bust suing Cole Cabana at the moment. Also that, he's also wrapped up in a bunch of legal stuff, which is really unfortunate and also probably hurts his interest in wrestling. But yeah, I think Moxley wins this match. I think this has, the real chance to be a show stealer on this one. I really, really do. And with that, we come to our main match, which actually underwent a little reworking. It's the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, I guess the Elite as it stands, versus the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr., Rey Fenix, and it was supposed to be Pac. But Pac and Dragon Gate fucked up and wrecked one of the matches for Double or Nothing, and now we're not hearing about Pac anymore. Which makes me wonder if we'll ever hear about Pac ever again in this company. He has been replaced with another AAA guy who I'll admit I don't know that much about, the Laredo Kid. I watched the little trailer they had for him. He looks good. He's got the lucha style. He can fly through the air. He can hit the ropes real good and everything. He seems to have good chemistry with the Lucha Brothers, but I'll freely admit I do not know that much about the Laredo Kid. Yeah, I also think she's just going to be sitting out her contract, Sasha Banks. Would be cool. I think she would be a boon to the ladies division if she did show up, and she does basically look like she's checked out of WWE as it stands right now, and she's just waiting for the clock to run out. Same with Luke Harper. Luke Harper would be good in this company too. He's a real solid hand in the ring. But yeah, who do we think is going to win this one? They've had an interesting back and forth with the Lucha Brothers because they beat them. They beat them at Double or Nothing, kept the AAA belt, but then the Lucha Brothers beat them in Mexico in a thing that wasn't televised unless you had AAA, is the thing. So I don't know if they're gonna like try and keep a 50-50 booking here to keep them looking strong, or if they're just gonna beat them again, full stop. Also, when Kenny took on Penta, Kenny won at the original All In. So if we're counting those. Love me some Brody Lee, and he is a hoss, and he would fit very well with this group. This is a hard one to call because it's a triple match, so it's a matter of like, okay, who pins who in this scenario? I don't think Kenny should keep losing. Wouldn't it be interesting if they gave him a losing streak in this? If Kenny loses and like he's got to try and rebuild himself. Shinsuke would also be great for AEW. It would just be nice to see Shinsuke do anything, honestly, at the moment. But yeah, this six-way tag is a hard one to call. I'm not exactly sure who I think with this one. I just like the Lucha Brothers, and again, I don't think Kenny and the Bucks need a win right now, and I think it would be cool to see the AAA guys go over, if only as, a show of good faith, true AAA that they're going to be working for. Kenny wins to build him up going to Double or Nothing. I think as the Bucks have a reason for another match with Lucha Brothers. Yeah, they could make it a trilogy. Ram mentions Wade Barrett. Isn't he working for Lucha Underground right now? Didn't he sign a famously bad contract with them, and didn't he end up being like the mystery villain at the end of last season? I know Lucha Underground is weird because their seasons are weird and they keep people in contracts for longer. I know Joey Ryan just got out of a contract with them. So yeah, this is a hard one to call. I wouldn't be surprised, Hippie Exterminator. I would not be surprised. I guess if I had to put money on it, I'm going to say the Lucha Brothers team because Bucks and Kenny don't need to win, is the thing. Lucha Underground does indeed also kill off wrestlers. Also, isn't that where Jack Swagger ended up? Isn't he like Lucha Underground champion now? That's where he ended up falling to. But yeah, there's my card prediction, everyone. I feel fairly comfortable with my predictions on this one. And hey, we haven't even filled a whole hour yet. So if anyone had any wrestling related Q&A, feel free to hit me with it now, and we'll keep talking for a little bit. I thought he did both, Ram. I thought he did both a little Lucha Underground and MMA. I know he had his first MMA fight just recently, but did he win or lose that fight? I can't remember. I think he did better than CM Punk in his first MMA fight. There's no doubt about that. What do you think about the G1 blocks? I hate to say I have not been keeping up with New Japan nearly as much. I watched the Moxley Juice match, and that was about it. I know Kenta's in the company now, and there's a lot of exciting stuff happening there, but I have not actually been paying attention to the G1. Yeah, now Punk is just doing commentary. He won. He was up against a joke opponent. Well, hey, at least he won. Hey, Joel, where can I see Fyter Fest? Well, Space Lord, I'm glad you asked that. You can watch the weigh-in and pre-shows on the All Elite Wrestling YouTube channel, and you can watch it for free. It's a completely free show over on Belcher Report is where you can watch it. So this is a big show. It's a big event, but you don't have to actually pay for it, and that's pretty cool. So Seth versus Will Ospreay in a battle on Twitter. Ugh, I hate it when wrestlers fight on Twitter because, like, come on, guys, it's all predetermined. You're not better than each other just because one gets booked better than the other. And also, too, if we're not talking about it, Ospreay's wrestled more than Rollins this year, but wait, what if AEW gets Mark Henry or something? Mark Henry was there as a journalist at Double or Nothing. I really like Mark Henry as a wrestling journalist and commentator and podcaster. I think he's really. I believe I heard a Mark Henry interview that said he's re-upping with WWE, not so much in an official capacity, but more like in a backstage capacity. Belcher Report. Belcher Report is another type of fish. Bleacher Report. Belcher Report. Do I keep saying Belcher? Belcher. Tina Belcher. Bob's Burgers. Bleacher Report. Yeah, Bleacher, because sports. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I think Mark Henry is continuing in a backstage capacity for WWE, or at least that's what he said in the last interview I heard him on. I forgot what interview that was. What do you think about Heyman Bischoff thing? I talked about that at the beginning of the show, TNG. You can double back and you can listen to all about it either here on Twitch or when I re-upload this show on the Cape Joel Extra channel, which is where this show will live for the foreseeable future. Everyone knows Tama Tonga is king of Twitter strong style. Ain't no one could touch you. Maybe Becky Lynch a little, but still, Tama Tonga's untouchable. Tama Tonga's Twitter game is very strong, very, very strong. I'm all about his Twitter skills. Also, too, he seems to be negotiating in public as well, too, talking about AEW and everything, and being like, hey, if he doesn't end up getting the push he wants, he might go join his friends over there. Tama's a nice guy. Nah, he hasn't been a nice guy for a bit. He's back to being a heel now. He was the nice guy, Tama Tonga. The good bad guy, Tama Tonga. Yeah, that's more fitting. He is a good bad guy. He's a very good bad guy. I love, again, to bring it back to WrestleMania season for a bit, I love him no-selling that Enzo and Cass thing and just being like, nope, screw your belt, screw this thing, I am not interested. I am also happy the Street Profits are finally NXT tag champions. It feels they were so done hard by for so long because they got built up as, an actual in-house talent that they built from the ground up, from scratch. They placed high in all the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics, but then they kept getting supplanted for new celebrity tag teams. And I'm glad they finally got the titles on them, as they deserve. Because they seem like really nice guys, and they've got a fun gimmick. And they just seem really cool, and I'm really happy for them. Also, I would much rather see it on them than the Forgotten Sons. And I hate the idea that it looks like it's going to go on the Forgotten Sons next. Not because I don't like the Forgotten Sons as wrestlers or as people. I think they do very well. Their gimmick is just so boring. Just more aggro white guys in leather vests. Jesus. You think Will Ospreay will be the first to win Juniors and G1 in the same year? That would be really cool, DNG. That would be cool. It would definitely be a nice little feather in his cap if he did win that. I'm sure he could, live on that for a while to be the guy who did those things. That'd be pretty sweet. That would definitely be pretty sweet. But yeah, anything else from everyone there? We're almost nearing an hour right now. I got to go make dinner at some point, but I figure I might as well keep chatting it up. I'm happy I got to finally do this, and I'm happy I got to show off my brand new overlay for the wrestling show. I think this will be the overlay for the wrestling show moving forward. Also, don't be shocked if this show becomes more of an AEW show, because again, WWE is kind of annoying me at the moment, but things could potentially change in October if this Heyman-Bischoff thing ends up working out. Which I know is hilarious, because I joked originally that this show might just be an AEW show at some point. Speaking of NXT, how many more current Raw SmackDown talent needs to make the jump back to NXT or already got the... Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Thank you, Hippie Exterminator. I love that talent is actually moving back to NXT. I like that Tyler Breeze isn't a joke anymore, that he had an amazing match with, Velveteen Dream, and the fact that they're even teasing that Johnny Curtis Fandango might come back to join him, and then they might reform their tag team down there. Big Damo is my man. I always believe in the big man. I always believe in the Hosses. I think it's great that they're actually making him a solid threat now and building him on his own and not like in a side faction. As far as like guys who could definitely get moved back down there, move EC3 down there. He's not doing anything. Shit, move Eric Young back and move Bobby Roode back down there too while you're at it, because they're not doing shit. In fact, oh man, see this is a great topic, because I feel that this could make for like a great topic video of like, what are some moved down NXT matches that you would really like to see? Do they have any more of the Chinese promotion guys at Fyter Fest? Just SEMA. Just SEMA's the only one. Yes, Wolf is with Walter's Imperium stable, and that's a great move. I didn't watch the match they had with British Strong Style, but I really should, because I heard it was amazing. EC3 didn't even get to have a good time next week. No, he didn't, and that's the heartbreaking thing. That's why I think he should go back down there. Actually, hey, where's Ruby Riot? and everything. Ruby should go back down because I really was pulling for Ruby to be an NXT Women's Champion. In fact, I think she could be. I think she's got a great gimmick, a great attitude, and a great moveset. But boy, did they bury her in the Riot Squad super, super hard. She's injured. Yeah, I thought so because we haven't seen her on TV in a bit. Yeah, who are some more matches I'd really like to see if we're going to be calling people down? I mean, Shinsuke versus Kushida, that's a dream match. Damo versus Keith Lee, that's a dream match right there if we're going to be calling people down who aren't doing anything at the moment. Oh God, what are some more good ones? I feel like I had a whole list made up here that I never actually got to do. What happened to Liv Morgan? Not doing anything, I guess. Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler could be a fun one, especially because she's got that new super positivity gimmick. Rusev versus... Yeah, who would we want Rusev to go up against down there? That would be a good one. Yeah, let's move Rusev. Rusev's not doing anything, and everyone really liked him in NXT. She's on SmackDown, but doesn't get used very much. It's too bad we already had Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler, because that would be one. Breeze v Gargano, yeah, I'd watch the hell out of that. That's a match. That's totally a match right there. Maybe do some more stuff with the Authors of Pain if they ever get uninjured. Also, that's the phone ringing. Maybe I should start bringing the one to a close here. So yeah, thank you everyone for showing up. Had a great time. Thank you for asking questions. We'll try and make this more regular. I know I say that every time, but now that it's summer and school is officially out for everyone, maybe there'll be more of an audience here for this sort of thing. So thank you everyone, and keep on wrestling. I'll be back next time. Bye-bye.